Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Marvel's Runaways Season 3, Episode 8, Devil's Torture Chamber. So this is a very unique crossover between two completely different Marvel shows, but part of Marvel Television. This is not part of the MCU, even though the MCU is fully established by this time, and they keep referring to the first Avengers movie as The Incident. And so this was, I don't even know if Disney Plus was around at that time. Now you can find this episode on both Hulu and Disney Plus under the Marvel Runaways. And so this is probably the only time you'll ever see Cloak and Dagger on Disney Plus, except for the two animated times when they appeared in Spider-Man. Two completely different Spider-Man cartoons. One's a completely different version, and the other one is this version. But they're in costume. Thank God. And so this was a huge thing. This is probably about like the third biggest Marvel crossover live action wise. The first one, of course, being the Avengers movie. The second one being the Defenders on Netflix. And now this one. What makes this one so special is that the Runaways was on Hulu and Cloak and Dagger was on Freeform. So one was a streaming show and the other one was an actual television show. And it features, of course, two group of teenage superheroes and stuff. And I remember I was so happy and thrilled this was happening because Cloak and Dagger had just got canceled. And so The Runaways was really one of the last few Marvel shows before Disney bought Fox. And then they were starting the whole Disney Plus thing, which caused a lot of the Marvel television shows to be canceled. And Cloak and Dagger had great ratings and people really liked that. And people really liked The Runaways. So this was like a great, no-brainer to like combine the two. However, though, it was a bit lackluster. And it was slightly disappointing. I mean, it's okay. It's an okay crossover, but it should have been bigger. Basically, think of like the Defenders, but really no action. So a lot of people don't like the Defenders because they thought that was a lackluster crossover. However, that had way bigger of a story, way bigger characters, and way bigger like action and stuff. Whereas this one did not. It's almost like they was too scared to like pull that proverbial trigger, and they made it like very watered down. They played it very safe. Basically, the characters, like you was expecting, like, if you're gonna have a crossover from two completely different properties and characters and groups and stuff like that, it needs to be very, very juicy, and it really wasn't. In fact, both sets of teams rarely even interact with each other. Like, they do interact, but the best interaction is probably Nico and Tandy, because those two cannot get along right from the start. But everybody else, for the most part, gets along. But it's not really that much dialogue. They really don't ask too much about everybody's personal business that much. Like, they kind of do, but it's brief and things we already knew. And I don't know, man. It was just. They just didn't like give it that oomph to it. Also, Aubrey, the dude who plays like, Tyrone, he seemed like his heart just wasn't in it, It's like he just kind of like half in like, a performance and didn't really care. Like, it was just like he was like, all right, I'll just say my lines and that's it. Like he just didn't really seem to care. And probably didn't because, his show was already canceled and stuff. And so I was hoping more from Cloak and Dagger, like maybe some costumes finally, like what they've been up to since the end of season 2, and they decided to leave from home and explore like the world and like help people out. And the only thing that's changed is Tyrone's hairstyle slightly. There's still no costumes, and they're wearing the exact same clothes they did when they left town. Tyrone's hoodie and whatever that white outfit that Tandy normally wears and stuff. And so, like, I was just hoping for, like, a whole lot more and a whole lot more, like, interaction. Now, of course, this does take place during this season 3 of the Runaways, where they're dealing with the whole Morgan Le Fay storyline for the first half. And so, like, a lot of stuff has been going on. Morgan Le Fay and that witches like coven thing she has, they're trying to like take over the city and the world and stuff like that. She has the dark hold. She wants the staff of one. She wants Nico on her side. Nico has been like, secretly meeting with her, trying to like, help Alex because he's stuck in the dark dimension for months and everything, being tortured. And so this is causing a strain on Nico and Catalina and stuff. Also, Jace and Gert. I hate saying that name. They're not really getting along all that well either, and Molly's just doing her Molly thing. Always by herself doing her own thing. And so Molly has been kidnapped by like the witches and stuff, and they plan on brainwashing her, similar to what they did to Alex's father. And so like, while Nico was trying to like, get Alex out of that dark place, somehow she ended up summoning that of Tyrone and that of Tandy by tapping into Tyrone's power when he teleported and stuff, and then teleported them there. And right from the start, they are on the fence, especially Tandy. She has her daggers in hand, and she is not getting along with Nico and stuff. And I mean, the interaction between those two, they literally want to smack each other around. You know how Tandy is. She's very defensive and very rude and stuff, calling Nico Hot Topic everything like that. So Tyrone has to like cool them down and everything as they're in the their home. I can't think of the name of their home right now, but it's funny because Tandy's making fun of it, but like, just like Tyrone said, it doesn't look that much different from the church they used to live in. I like how Tyrone has to be the one to like, quell those two. And for the most part, Nico, she calmed down first. She introduced herself, like, and she introduced what her staff is, but she also let Tandy know it's the most powerful weapon in the universe. So she ain't phasing those daggers and stuff. Like, they don't phase her and stuff. So she lets them know, she has to save Alex from like, the dark world and everything, the dark dimension. They told her, we've been there before, because, they've been there plenty of times and stuff. So they know how chaotic it can be. But Alex has been there for at least over 6 months, I think. And so, once you're there for a really long time, it takes a hold on your mind. Now, I'm not sure originally if these two universes were the same or if they just crossed dimensions from like, multiverse. But I'm pretty sure they're in the same exact universe, because the Darkhold, it has many different appearances and stuff. So first they have to save the rest of their friends and stuff. And of course they're being held by that witch's coven. So like, as Nico is with Cloak and Dagger, they're like on the computer looking over the Darkhold from the images they have and stuff like that. And I believe Chase's mother contacts Nico through like the cyberspace, because somehow her brainwave got integrated within cyberspace when that whole season 2 alien invasion mind like swap body thing took over. And so I think she helps them find like, where the others are being held by the wizard people. So we see both of Gert's parents, and I hate saying her name. And we also see like, Gert herself and Catalina, and then of course Chase and Chase's dad. And they're trying to get away before, the bad guys come. So Chase has a somewhat brilliant plan of dropping to the ground and letting Gert be the one to untie like his knots and everything. But before he can untie anybody else's, here comes the brainwashed Jeffrey and the witches and stuff. And of course Jeffrey, he was brainwashed a couple of episodes ago, and his wife has died in prison. And so like, Don't worry, here come Cloak, Dagger, and Nico to the rescue. And Chase is all excited until he's all like, hey, who's these other two? He should have realized, like, Nico's with company and stuff. So it's a small little battle between Nico, like, having to use her staff on the witches, like binding them up and, and stuff like that. And so everybody gets freed, and so Cloak, he transport all the parents out of there, and he doesn't know exactly where. So she's like, just think of any place in LA. Boy, you will never believe what he guessed. The Hollywood sign on the mountains. And so they're all like, well, can you get us down from here? And he just teleports away. He doesn't even know they're bad or not. And it's like they're stuck there on the mountaintop. So that's just hilarious. See, that's how you do comedy in Marvel. That right there is how you do comedy. Not this MCU, like, baby humor, like, crap, you know what I'm saying? Like, this right here, like that awkward mess, no, but how they used to do in these Marvel shows was cake. And so, he teleports back. And so Kalina, she can't use her powers because Morgan deactivated them. So Nico reactivates them with the power of 1. And so she's really pissed and she throws out her energy blast, but she completely misses. She can't hit the toilet if she was a dude. And so, like, Nico, she just blasts them all to, like, the back of the wall and everything. And then they all, like, teleport on out of there. And now they're back at, the necklace in which, like, Morgan Le Fay uses to brainwash Jeffries. If you look very closely, it has, like, this skeleton bird beak looking thing. I think that's Conchu, like his face or whatever. It looks a lot like him. From, like, Marvel's, like, Moon Knight, but Moon Knight came out many years later. So most likely this is just a crow's, like, skeleton, because she's all about, like, scarecrows, not scarecrow, but like crows and everything. The hostile, like, manner, but they're in the dark dimension. There's, like, weeds there and everything. I wish they would have made it more eerie, like, the inside of the dark dimension, like, change the filter, like something lets you know that, hey, they are in a different place. Because I actually thought they were just in the regular, like, dimension and stuff. And so they're worried, they don't want to be there, but Nico's all like, no, we're staying and we're getting Alex. Because they remember the last time they was there, they got split up and they saw all these bad, like, images and stuff of them doing, like, terrible stuff. And so, like, Cloak and Dagger, they're all like, so, like, we didn't even know there were, like, other teenagers with powers and ability like ours. Like, what do y'all do? And they're all like, oh, well, I'm telepathically linked to a dinosaur who's not here right now. And he's all like, oh, yeah, I got these fisticuffs and I can shoot energy blasts, but, I don't got them right now. So it's basically they're all powerless. And Kalina, she can't even use her alien powers in the dark dimension. So it's only up to Nico and Cloak and Dagger. And so, like, before they leave, like, the manor, they say, they gotta hold hands and take, like, a partner, because the last time they left that place, they got split up. So everybody takes their significant other's hand. Tandy and Tyrone, Gert and Chase, but she doesn't want to touch his hand. And then, of course, Nico and Kalina, who are still on the fritz. And so when they leave out there, they realize, okay, they're not split up, but it's darker than what they remember before. It looks like a war land and everything. So they, carefully, they scour the city and stuff. And so at this time, Alex is being tortured, like, relentlessly and stuff. And it's I forget his name, Darren or Darius or something like that. I forget that gangster dude name from season 1 and 2. It's like a reanimated version of him for that, like, dark dimension place. And inside is a recreation of his mother. Cause of course both those two people are dead. I think it's Darren. I'm just gonna call him Darren. And so Darren's all like, look, man, You want to leave this place, you know exactly what you gotta do. You gotta kill somebody. That's what we want you to do. But Alex will not do that, like, no matter what. He's all like, look, man, you're dark and you're evil, just like everybody else and everything. Just come to your dark side. And he's really, really, really trying to get Alex to cross that line. And I think Alex might have crossed that line before or not. He's come close in the past. And, you know, his reimagined mother is telling me, no, don't listen to him. You can't cross that line, trying to be like his conscience. But he is really weak and he's tired. He's been there for months. You know, that's a toll on his mind. He just can't take it no more and stuff. But he's trying his best. So every once in a while, they'll pull him out that room by himself, torture him off screen, not exactly how, and you know, and stuff like that. And so when the kids are like in the streets, at some point they meet AWOL and everything. And remember he was the cop with them other cops, though he was on one of those crooked dirty cops who tried to like harm the kids. And then Nico, she just completely like went berserk with like the staff of one, and they just like disappeared, but she never knew where they went. And now she knows they went to the dark dimension and stuff. And so they're working with Morgan Le Fay. So of course they run and hightail and stuff because they don't want to be seen. And then so they get cornered. And so Nico uses the staff, or so she thinks she does. But then she's kind of like, wait, hold up, that ain't my spell. Somebody put like a barrier wall up. Because she wanted to turn their heads into cantaloupes, which would have been awesome to see. And so like, but it wasn't her, it was Quentin the Great. And so he's in a hoodie and then he takes them to like another building. Now, Quentin, he is a sorcerer, and he's the original owner of the hostel manor which they stay in. And he used to be a bad dude in the dark dimension, working for Morgan Le Fay. But then, you know, the last time the runaways were there, they helped turn him good and stuff. So he's been trying to avoid her this entire time, and he doesn't like the idea they are there because, you know, they could give away a position and stuff like that. And I do like how the two teams mention, like, you know, what their dark dimension is like whenever they went. You know, Tandy reminds the audience that, hey, you know, we was in like a dark place and a record store and like, you know, all this other stuff. And so Quentin tells her that, like Nico, that Morgan Le Fay wants you more than anybody else because Morgan wants the staff. It is literally one of the most powerful things in that universe. And so that's why the cops are on the pursuit of them, that and they want revenge. So Quentin takes them all outside and going towards the building where Alex is, right? And then so as they're all going in a building, something attacks Quentin outside, and now he is separated from their group. So with the dark dimension taking hold of Gert's mind, it recreates like a little Molly from when she was in a wheelchair, and she turns like all demonic and comes towards them like crawling on the ground, right? Freaking Gert out. So of course Chase goes there to like rescue her, but he can't do nothing. So in comes Tyrone, who teleports them out. But then they get separated now. And so during this time, you know, Gert and Chase or with like Tyrone, and it's nice to see Chase and Tyrone interact with each other, because you know part of this crossover is you're supposed to interact, but they don't interact much. Gert, I hate saying her name. I have a hard time saying ours. It's the same kind of illness that, well, not illness, I guess you could say. It's kind of like I don't know really what you would call it. It's not really a disease, but like it's something Debbie Ryan has. It's where people can't pronounce words with R's in them. And so like Gert, she is freaking out in her little paranormal, like, you know, jittery state. This is when she started getting very agitated this season. That and also the dark dimension is taking a hold of her mind. So it's interfering with her a whole lot more. And she does not want to be there. Because, you know, even Chase, he saw images of when he was there last time and when he was like beating his dad with a baseball bat and stuff. And so like, she is really flipping out and demanding that Tyrone teleports them completely out of there and back to the real world But he's like, he can't do that because he might not be able to get back to this specific place in time. And so, she gets so like agitated that she grabs his hands and she sees her greatest fears. Her greatest fear is like is Molly, Chase, and Old Lace being attacked by Morgan's like crows and everything. And because she didn't know he could do that with his power. Because I forgot to mention that like Nico, when she was talking to like the other team, when Tandy was getting like pissy at her, she's all like, "Oh yeah, you want to mess with us? But I can make you see your hopes, and Tyrone can make you see like your greatest fear and everything like that." And so like so she didn't know that Tyrone could do that. The other members of the team, they're like walking around, and Tandy and Nico are getting back into it again. And so Nico not liking, well, no, Tandy not liking Nico, she grabs her hand, and she can see Nico's greatest like hope, and that's Nico and Catalina getting married like old school witch style, like with the rope around your hand, talking about like I bind these two, like in matrimony and stuff like that. And so this causes Tandy to lighten up on Nico, but Nico is pissed. She's all like, "Did you use your power on me? Did you see my hope and everything?" She's like, "I'm sorry," but the reason why Tandy did that, because Tandy said she could not trust Nico, but now she can. But she doesn't tell Catalina what she sees and everything. But like, this is of course part of like the comment because Nico and Catalina are together. Now, technically her and Alex were together first in the comics, but they didn't do that for the show. I said that in my first review for the first season. And so they kind of bypassed that, but they did show those two had like they was getting to get together until Nico got pissed at Alex. But even though Nico is madly in love with Catalina, she still like holds that like deep like connection with Alex in her heart. Like that is literally like one of her best friends like in the entire world. And Nico literally will go to the underworld and back for like Alex and everything. Like that is how much she cares about him and stuff. And it does kind of get on like Catalina's nerves a little and stuff. And so at some point in time, Chase, Gert, and Tyrone, they get like attacked by like the cops. So Tyrone's like, hold on and everything. But then it's the cops that grab on to him. And so like, when they grab on to him, he teleports them away from there. And so with Tyrone gone and chasing Gert with the officers and everything, Nico, Tandy, and Catalina, they can see across from like, the street that their friends are in danger. So, man, Nico, she creates like, okay, so they just like run towards like the window and then they bust through it. And then Nico creates like all this like cloud of fog and everything. And they surf on over to the other building. It's so cool and everything. And then so eventually Tyrone rejoins the group. And then a zombified Quentin comes in. So now they're in the room with the cops and the zombified Quentin, and they're trying their best. Tandy's like throwing daggers at him, but nothing's working because he's already dead. He's literally a zombie. And so while this is going on, Alex is being tortured again by that one dude, and he's all like showing Alex on the monitor, "Hey, look, man, he's your friends." And this is the only action we really get to see in the show. It's Nico doing her martial arts on a zombified Quentin, but it's on a monitor. We can't even see it up close. And so he's all like, "Look, man, they ain't gonna be able to handle this zombie dude and everything. All you gotta do is kill somebody, and I will let you go." And so he is contemplating it and stuff. And so we see with the group, Tandy, what's her name? Nico asked for like a dagger. So Tandy creates one, tosses it to Nico, and then something happens. Nico uses her dark Wiccan power to, like, infuse into Tandy's light dagger. And it causes it to become like a dark dagger. And then she uses it to kill the zombified Quentin. Well, the cops are still there. And so when they leave out the room, all of a sudden the cops disappear. They just completely vanish. And the kids are now in the clear. Why? Because we see Alex standing over his reincarnated, like, dead mother's body and stuff, and there's a pool of blood. And so he finally did what what's his name wanted. He crossed that path that he can't come back from and stuff, but he did it just so his friends can be safe and he can finally get out of there. So then he meets up with the rest of the group. So when he meets up with the rest of the group, they're all excited to see him and everything. And so, like, they all about to teleport on out of there. So they all hold hands again. And so Tandy holds Alex's hand, and she gets the most disturbing image and one of the coolest scenes in the entire series. Well, one, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in season 2 with Nico. But yeah, we see Alex wielding all the powers of his group, similar to how he did in the comic. His greatest desire, his greatest hope is to have all of their powers and to, like, rule and everything and just, like, cause chaos. But why exactly? It's because the dark dimension now has a hold on his mind and is twisting him. He's no longer that person he used to be. So when they all teleport back to the real world, Tandy lets it out the bag what she saw. She's all like, I saw this dude, like, being like, a superhero boss and everything. And he's all like, that must be like the dark dimension playing tricks on your mind and everything. But she's still a little weary about that. And so, now that everybody's safe, except for Molly, they all say their goodbyes and stuff. Tyrone gets to meet old Lace, and you'd think he'll be more freaked out that there's, like, a dinosaur, but he's, like, not. He's just kind of like a little chill, a little scared, but not as, like, freaked out as you think, like, a person would be. I would have him be completely freaked out if I was, like, the director. And so everybody said their goodbyes, and then Tandy tells Nico, I want you to keep that dark dagger and you keep it safe, just in case, because she does not trust Alec and everything. And so, they say their goodbyes and then they teleport on out of there. And so now they have to go and they have to look for Molly, because Molly's the only absent person here. And so, like, we see Molly. She's at the witch's coven. They wake her and her eyes glow green instead of yellow. She is now under their control. And so, like I said before, it was an okay crossover. It should have been bigger. It should have, like, hit it with, like, a bang. But sadly, they did not. They didn't pull that trigger for some reason. I'm not sure why. Because it was the end of the road for all the entire cast, like, both shows and everything. So you'd think they would have went out with, like, a you know what I'm saying? But for some reason, they just didn't. And that's really sad. But, at least we still got, like, 3 good seasons with the Runaways and 2 good seasons with Cloak and Dagger. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.